Right, no.
And yet you can afford an expensive truck and an expensive caravan. How can you afford that?
Yes, that's easy. I suppose they just think that we walk in and pay out cash for it and walk out, but it's not like that. It's not as simple as that. You see, maybe we were working maybe for 4 or 5 years before we can do that. And then we don't walk in and just say, I want this wagon here, tax it from here, insure it, and we'll take it away. It's not like that. We have part exchange every time. And they lose so much on the old one, you know, maybe to a couple of £100, maybe we might have that. And we'd give that a swap and have a new one.
Caravans can cost £2,000. The gypsies say they earn it. Most people assume they steal it.
Everybody steals.
Even in the
Everybody
settling
steals
people
things.
that
Certain
steal
people
things,
that's
yeah.
living in houses, them steals, don't they? And there's maybe travelling people steals. But the travelling person gets the worst name. When they see a gypsies camp nearby their home, they just, if they miss something when they come in from work, they'll say, well, the gypsies done that. The gypsies is up there and camping up there. Well, this stands bad for us. Everybody's against us. They say, we done it, we took it. It's the gypsies took it. It might be their next door neighbour took it.
Why do you think it is that people don't like travellers?
Good question. Well, maybe it's the way to go on with big crowds, get on scrapping out there. Maybe sometimes, maybe some people do get abused. They're tired of all the people the same then, you see.
But why does that happen? Why do people get abused?
Well, maybe somebody might go to a place and might say bugger off and you might answer them back, so-and-so, you know.
But people are often even frightened of you. Why do you think that is?
I don't see why they should be frightened.
But they are.
I suppose so, yes.
Well, I'll tell you how it is fighting in pubs. What's the start of an argument in a pub is, when you walk into a pub and a man says, or a woman, whoever it may be that's in the pub, what can you say? Maybe there are 2 or 3 people at that bar. And the man might say, Mrs., right over your head, although you were in front of him. The settled community might say, right over your head, a pint, please. Right? That's left you in the background. That's victimising you, just because you're a traveller. And then when you say, listen, sir, I'm in front of you, I'm before you, it's me to be said before you. The first thing you say, well, I'm a customer in this place. You ain't a bloody gypsy, you're a bloody tinker. Well, what kind of a person would you want to be? You want to be a dog. You want to have no life in you, if you didn't take up for yourself.
John Connors did stick up for himself and the other gypsies. It was because he got them to dig themselves in that the council couldn't dig them out.
But you expect the council to give you a site?
Yes, we expect them, because we don't know all the way out.
What right have you to expect this?
Well, didn't the people get houses? Didn't the people in this area, whatever area this is, Brown Hills area, hadn't they to be provided with houses when they started off first?
Well, they bought them,
Yes,
most of them.
well, yes, I know they bought them, most of them, yeah, but a lot of them is council houses. Most of them belong to the council houses. Then.
But you don't belong in this area. You're travellers.
You're travellers, yes, but we want to settle down. That's what we want. We want to settle down in the one place.
But if
so we can get education for our children.
But if the people around here don't want you and the council doesn't want
Well,
you...
they'll have to put up with us, that's the only thing.
Why should they?
They'll have to put up with us, why wouldn't they?
Some gypsies do steal, some smell too. But no one's going to stop smelling or stealing by being hounded from every place they ever stop at. The argument in favour of sites is that they would provide facilities and education for the gypsy families and a chance for the government to get its income tax and road fund licences. And the police could get their hands on the gypsies too. It would also mean that prosecuting travellers on land where they had no right to be would then make more sense, because they'd have somewhere they could be. It's understandable too that the local councils say no, but when every council says no, it means there's nowhere to go for 15,000 people, and no education at all for 6,000 children. And there are 6,000 gypsy children growing up without being able to read and write. The government have produced reports, the Ministry of Housing have pleaded, but this council, like most others, was still determined to get them out and was angry that it had so little power to do so. But if the government pleas had failed, John Connors' methods had not. World in Action had almost finished filming when the council had a sudden change of heart and came up with an offer.
The local council has met today, and they've offered us 6 sites.
What does it say, Johnny?
And this is what it says. The major step in tackling the problem of thinkers was taken last night by Aldridge Urban District Council. It agreed after a 3-hour debate to provide a permanent site for 6 families. No decision was reached on permanent location, but a temporary site is being provided at Rushall. Now, lads, what this means is they give you the site maybe for 28 days, a temporary site. They can kick you off that site anytime they want to do it.
Well, why not this day? Tell us when to go.
Yeah, yes, I know. I'll come to that later. But if they kick you off this site that they're giving you, temporary site, then where are you? They want to break up the crowd first. That's what I think it is. When they break up the crowd, then we're finished. They can push, kick, pull any 2 or 3 or 6 families away. The gypsies live in extremely primitive conditions, in hostile, with local population. They cannot achieve any standard of personal hygienic, and their children are enduring terrible hardship. Well, as you know yourself, lads, our children is going through a lot of hardship. No schooling. They're running around, half of them, they lose a shoe in the muck, they can't go back to pick it up because they're worthwhile picking up in the muck. As you know, lads.
In the sludge,
In the sludge. Now, Councillor J. Cooper declared that the council was declining blackmail by the thinkers. So, this is my proposition to you. Will I take that 6 sites, or will I not?
No! I couldn't count that. I tell you, pick out 6 among them. That can't be.
You can't do it.
It can't be done. It can't be done.
Can't be done.
How could it be done?
But when the enthusiasm and the alcohol had worn off, it was done. It was a site for 6 more gypsy families. The others went off to fight for the same luxuries somewhere else. Why had the council changed its mind?
We provided the site on the assurance, on the personal assurance of the chief constable that he would remove by persuasion, voluntary movement if possible, but if necessary, by compelling the remaining families to move out of the urban district.
I do not think we had an earthly chance of moving them. They were in too large a numbers. They realised, being driven out of Birmingham, they'd got to dig the toes in somewhere. It was a last-ditch stand, and the last-ditch stand was at Pelsall.
Whatever the reason, it was a place and a school for 6 more gypsy families to go to.
The water is very hot. Put the water in at the far station. Yeah, it's very hot. She's the water switched on now. She's the hot. Switch it on, please. It's hot already. Hot already.
When we began filming, 143 gypsy families were allowed to live within the law. When we finished, 149, which leaves only about 15,000 with nowhere to go.